When it comes to constant excitement and engrossing mystery in games, there's nothing better than the horror genre. While horror games used to be mostly produced by big companies like Capcom and Konami, the past decades have showed us that indie developers are truly a force to be reckoned with. Whether it's the relatively small budgeted turned AAA giant Outlast or the Taiwanese hidden gem Detention, indie horror has exploded with creativity. There are so many amazing ones out there to choose from, but today we're going to look at some of the absolute best, ranked on their Metacritic scores. Let's dive in and uncover some true nightmares. Starting off our list at number 15 is Madison. This haunting first person psychological horror game traps you in a house with an ominous supernatural force lurking around every corner. The atmosphere feels heavy with dread, and you never know what you'll encounter as you move through each room. There's a lot of puzzle solving, which forces you to focus on the smallest details while constantly being aware of something watching you. You'll find yourself hesitating before every door as the eerie sound design and visuals keep you on edge. If you enjoy a horror experience that's more about psychological dread than straightforward scares, Madison's dark and tense environment is the perfect choice. At number 14, we have The Forest. Imagine this: you survive a plane crash, only to find yourself stranded on a desolate island, with only the natural world for protection. Until you realize you're not alone. You soon encounter cannibalistic mutants who aren't exactly thrilled about sharing this space with you, and the real horror comes at night when you're scrambling to find or build a shelter, knowing these creatures could find you at any moment. As you progress, you can't help but become immersed in the need to survive, while also trying to find your missing son. The Forest mixes elements of survival and horror perfectly, creating a game that pulls you into its world and tests your instincts. Darkwood, coming in at 13, brings horror from a different perspective, literally. This top down survival horror game drops you in a dark, seemingly endless forest where danger lurks behind every tree. The game is procedurally generated, so each playthrough feels fresh, and with every setting of the sun, you brace yourself for the horrors that emerge. The top down perspective lets you see just enough to feel aware, but not safe, keeping tension high. There's something about the nightfall in Darkwood that makes you feel completely vulnerable, and with limited resources, you're always one step away from it. Darkwood is an indie gem that creates horror from atmosphere and scarcity, showing you don't need first person jump scares to be terrifying. Number 12 is Oxenfree, a supernatural thriller that combines horror with a powerful narrative. The story begins when a group of teenagers accidentally open a supernatural rift during a getaway on a desolate island. I mean, who does that? Oxenfree stands out for its realistic dialogue system, where conversations feel natural, like real teens chatting. The horror is subtle but unsettling, sneaking up on you. As you explore the island, eerie phenomena occur that build a sense of dread without ever resorting to a traditional jump scare. It feels like unraveling a mystery that you're not quite sure you want the answer to. Oxenfree storytelling and atmosphere are deeply engrossing. It's a game that sticks with you.
Right? Like, I wouldn't find any of this stuff interesting?
Jonas, I think you're smart. Come on, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
At number 11, we have Detention, a game that brings Taiwanese folklore and history into horror. Set in the 1960s during a period of political repression, you explore an abandoned school haunted by malevolent spirits. The use of Eastern horror and cultural symbolism makes the game's atmosphere deeply unique. As I played, every new area revealed something more disturbing. But it was a sense of helplessness in this environment that haunted me. The characters are trapped in a world distorted by fear and suppression, making the game's story all the more impactful. It's a chilling experience, showing just how powerful a narrative-driven horror game can be. Coming in at number 10 is Phasmophobia, a co-op ghost hunting game that puts you and your friends in haunted locations to investigate paranormal activity. With only a few basic tools, you have to identify the type of ghost based on its behaviors, and that means staying close to the ghost, which is as terrifying as it sounds. The immersion is on another level, especially with VR, and nothing quite matches the feeling of whispering to your friends and hearing the fear grow as you all realize that the ghost is getting closer. Phasmophobia is a unique horror experience that turns your own fear into gameplay, making it both fun and absolutely terrifying. Five Nights at Freddy's at number 9 might be one of the most iconic indie horror games ever made. Playing as a night guard in a pizzeria with animatronic mascots that come alive after hours, you have to survive the night using only security cameras and limited power. The simplicity of the gameplay is deceiving because every second is filled with dread. As you try to keep these animatronics from finding you, there's nothing quite like the moment when you realize your power is almost gone, and all you can do is hope. It's a game that might be simple in concept, but it's packed with heart-pounding moments. Little Nightmares takes the 8th spot with its storybook-like yet nightmarish world. You play as Six, a little girl trying to escape a dark place known as the Maw. Filled with grotesque and eerie creatures, the visuals are beautifully disturbing, blending horror with an almost surreal art style. Each section of the Maw introduces new dangers and bizarre inhabitants, making you feel small, fragile, and deeply unnerved. Little Nightmares is an experience that leaves you with chills and shows how art direction can make a horror game so much more memorable. Dead by Daylight at number 7 is an asymmetrical horror game that pits 4 players as survivors against one killer, controlled by another player. The game has a unique intensity as you try to evade the killer while completing tasks to escape. There's something terrifying about knowing a real person is the one hunting you, and every chase feels high stakes. With various iconic killers from different horror movies, Dead by Daylight delivers constant thrills and keeps you on your toes. Inside at number 6 is a hauntingly beautiful platformer that takes you through a dark dystopian world. You play as a boy trying to escape a place where horrible experiments seem to be taking place. The game's unsettling atmosphere is crafted with eerie silence, haunting visuals, and unexpected twists. Each moment feels cinematic, and it's a game that doesn't rely on typical horror tropes to make you feel uncomfortable. Inside is an unforgettable experience that feels like a dark, twisted dream. Number 5 is Soma, a horror game that trades monsters for an existential nightmare in an underwater research facility. You uncover the story of consciousness, identity, and what it means to be human. The philosophical horror is genuinely unsettling, and exploring the depths of the ocean with its broken down facility and odd characters create a powerful sense of isolation. Soma is a game that leaves you thinking long after the credits roll.
Hey, are you...
Don't hurt me!
Can I help?
It won't let me die. Nothing is allowed to die.
Amnesia: The Dark Descent at number 4 revolutionized indie horror. Playing as Daniel, who wakes up in the dark castle with no memory, you are forced to explore and confront creatures while remaining defenseless. Every corner holds potential horror, and without weapons, hiding is often your only choice. This sense of vulnerability is what makes Amnesia terrifying, and has influenced countless horror games since. Outlast, the third entry in our list, takes you to an abandoned asylum where unspeakable horrors await. You play as a journalist with only a camcorder at your disposal. Capturing night vision footage to see in the dark, the limited resources combined with terrifying inmates create some of the most intense horror gameplay ever experienced. The sense of dread and helplessness is palpable, and it's no wonder Outlast has become a horror icon. At number 2 is Limbo, a minimalist horror experience that follows a young boy on a haunting journey through a black and white world. The visuals are stunning in their simplicity, and the horror is subtle but powerful. With traps and puzzles that create an atmosphere of unease, it's a game that relies on mood over jump scares, showing that sometimes less is more for horror. And finally, at the top of our list, Little Nightmares 2. Building on the first game's haunting world, you now play as Mono, a young boy trying to escape a nightmarish city. Every setting feels like a twisted storybook, and the horrifying characters and features only add to the fear. Little Nightmares 2 took everything great about the first game and expanded on it, making it a true masterpiece in indie horror. And there you have it, some of the scariest indie horror games to check out. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and also let me know your favorites in the comments down below. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time.